You've been doing intermittent fasting religiously and you still look the same. In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly why intermittent fasting isn't the fat loss tool you think it is, and I'll show you what actually works instead. Something simpler, more enjoyable, and in my opinion, far healthier. My name is Simon, and I'm on a mission to help CEOs and high-performing men get into elite shape. So why it's not optimal to do intermittent fasting? Cortisol is already highest in the morning. So when you wake up, your body naturally releases cortisol to help you become alert and mobilize energy, right? This is normal. But if you continue fasting for several more hours, cortisol stays elevated for longer. Hunger hormones can increase and some people even become stressed, irritable, or fatigued, which is not good. We don't want that. Now, higher cortisol doesn't magically stop fat loss, but chronically elevated stress can increase cravings later in the day, can make dieting harder to sustain, lead to overeating at night, and so on, but we'll talk about this in a second. Second reason why it's not optimal is because you spend more of the day hungry. Many people skip breakfast and feel fine essentially, but then the problem with that is that they get extremely hungry in the afternoon and they start snacking uncontrollably and eating massive dinners and stuff. And because they didn't eat enough throughout the day, like I said, they start eating uncontrollably. And the result of that is often eating more calories than if they had eaten a high protein breakfast. Another very important reason why you should eat in the morning, or why it's not talking about doing intermittent fasting, is because muscle protein synthesis is delayed, which is crucial if you want to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. So when you stimulate muscle, when you do intermittent fasting, that's like several hours where muscle building and recovery aren't being stimulated. This can be less than ideal when eating in a caloric deficit because preserving muscle is critical. So eating a high protein breakfast gives your body an additional opportunity to maintain muscle mass, which is very important. Energy and performance can also suffer, especially if you train in the morning, and lower performance will mean fewer calories burned and potentially less muscle retention over time. Even though you don't burn that many calories when you work out compared to walking and your basal metabolic rate, you still need good workouts to build muscle and to make progress in the gym. So now let's go to the next part. The cortisol mechanism, why you can't get abs. High cortisol is usually not the direct reason you don't have abs. Being at too high a body fat percentage is. However, high cortisol can make getting lean enough for visible abs much harder. So high cortisol increases hunger and cravings, like we talked about earlier, right? And cortisol stays elevated, especially because of chronic stress, poor sleep, excessive dieting, excessive fasting. Your brain starts pushing you to eat more, especially sugar, fast food, and high calorie foods. And this can make eating healthy whole foods way harder than it should be. And you may think that you start to lack willpower, but your hormones are literally increasing your drive to eat. This is why it's crucial to keep your cortisol low. Another reason why cortisol makes fat loss harder is because high cortisol causes water retention. This is where many people get confused. Because even if you've lost fat, elevated stress can make you hold more water under the skin. And as a result, this can make your waist look softer, your face may look puffier, and your abs may appear less defined. You can lose several pounds of water after a few nights of good sleep and healthy food, eating properly, and suddenly look much leaner despite losing almost no fat. High cortisol can also reduce training performance, like we talked about earlier, right? When you're stressed and under-recovered, workouts feel harder, strength drops, recovery suffers, and it's in general way harder to make progress in the gym. This can also make it way harder to maintain muscle while being, or even gaining muscle while being in a caloric deficit. Less muscle mass means less abdominal definition and the same body fat percentage. Number 4, high cortisol can lead to binge restrict cycles. And this is probably the biggest issue I see with most people. Someone can skip breakfast, drink coffee, pushes through hunger, gets stressed all day, but then at 8 p.m. they eat 2000 calories in one sitting and they just destroy their whole caloric deficit. Now let's go over to the next part. It's just a tool for a caloric deficit. Intermittent fasting is just a tool for a caloric deficit. Right? Intermittent fasting doesn't have a special fat loss advantage. It has no magic. It simply makes it easier to eat less by shrinking your eating window. The biggest misconceptions is that fasting burns more fat. Intermittent fasting works mainly because it makes it easier for some people to eat fewer calories, right? Let's say we have person A that eats 2000 calories and he does intermittent fasting, and person B eats 2000 calories with breakfast. They will lose essentially the same amount of fat. Intermittent fasting can work well only if you're genuinely not hungry in the morning, if it helps you control calories, and if your energy, training, and recovery remain good. Like me, for example, I'm pretty healthy and I can do intermittent fasting no problem, right? It's not gonna affect my training, it's not gonna affect my recovery. I feel really good. I can keep building muscle and so on because I optimized my sleep, I optimized my recovery, my training. I don't overtrain or something. Like if you're healthy and if you eat a healthy diet, you eat properly, you don't eat junk food and seed oils and grains, you shouldn't have a problem with intermittent fasting, right? Like me personally, I don't. So, but if you're unhealthy and your hormones are completely destroyed, then I don't think doing intermittent fasting is a good idea. It's just gonna make it worse. So here's what I would do instead and why. I would eat within 2 to 3 hours of waking up a high protein animal based meal with fruit juices. Have a bit of carbs in the morning to help replenish liver glycogen. Like even though I'm healthy, I don't do intermittent fasting. I hate it. Like I get good results without intermittent fasting. Even though I'm healthy and I could do it, I still choose not to because in my opinion it's just starvation. But I'm not saying it doesn't work. It works, but your body needs to be in a good place, let's say. It's 3 clean meals a day, no snacking. This helps keeps insulin stable and cortisol in check throughout the day. Prioritize sleep above everything. When you sleep, that's when you build muscle and that's when you recover. Walk 10,000 steps daily. This is the most underrated fat loss tool for high stress executives. Train 3 to 4 times a week, not 6. Overtraining spikes cortisol further and kills your results. Sometimes I train 5 times a week, but 4 times a week is the sweet spot, in my opinion. Fix the food quality first, right? Very important. Remove the seed oils, remove grains, and processed food. These are the real enemy, not meal timing. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. I hope this gave you a new perspective. I hope you can now make the right decision if you should do intermittent fasting or if you should just eat in the morning. I hope you found value in this video, and if you did, subscribe, like. If you have any video suggestions, please leave it in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time. Peace.